Hello, and welcome to the Gothic Bohemian Salon. Today I'm going to talk to you about two things that are very easy to collect and will add to your morbid decor in quite a nice and unusual way. They are coffin plates and funerary ephemera. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is coffin plates. Coffin plates, or plaques, or casket plates or plaques, were metal plates that were affixed to the coffin of the deceased during the funeral service. After the service, often the family would have the plate removed and they would bring it home with them as a remembrance of their loved one. Sometimes these would be framed and put in shadow boxes, sometimes just kept on the mantel place, and sometimes if somebody was cremated, it was kept in with the ashes in the little space that you might have. Sometimes there's a glass over the niche and you can see the coffin plates in there. There's a particularly wonderful place to go if you want to see a lot of coffin plates and just see some wonderful funerary architecture. It's in San Francisco and it's called the Neptune Society Columbarium. It is off of Geary Street behind the Coronet Theater on a street called De Anza, and I will try to put a link down below for their website. But you should just be able to put in Neptune Society Columbarium and see all about them. It's where I'm going to be interred after I die. I already have my space and I'm actually really happy and excited about it. Isn't that goth? Anyway, coffin plates generally look somewhat like this. This one is from Eastern Europe, and we think that it is a practice plate because we found, we bought these in a lot of 6, and they were all the same name, done in various styles on a couple of different styles of coffin plate. As you can see, the name is definitely of some sort of Eastern European origin. Then I have this one here. This is a little bit maybe more typical. This is quite beautiful. Sometimes they're silver plated and sometimes not. Sometimes they're solid silver. That's very unusual actually. It's more likely that they're silver plated. I tend to collect ones from younger people. That's just because I find that to be more poignant, and yeah, it just is a personal preference. This particular plate is one of a set, and the other one looks like this. And you'll see that the last name is the same. So it was Ruth, and this is Phoebe. Glitzer, I believe is the name. And I bought them together in one lot. And what's the framing around it is some kind of material, fabric, that's been coiled around a wooden base that has these scrolls, and then these are metal here, and this is actually coming apart from the outside and is obviously in less than perfect condition, but it's beautiful anyway, and I really love it. Now, coffin plates are fairly easy to collect. They're not illegal to own. eBay had a bit of a problem at one point with them because they seemed to think that they were dug up, you know, from graveyards or something like that. And while sometimes when they're doing work in an area where a cemetery has been, sometimes coffin plates are found in those areas. Generally speaking, it's something that was passed down in the family and ends up in an antique store or something like that. Often the owner doesn't know what it is. There are some books on coffin plates, but they're very rare and difficult to find. Expect to pay between $18 and $200 depending on where it is that you get your coffin plates. Necromance on Melrose in Los Angeles carries coffin plates, quite expensive however, and so does Love to Death in the Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. Also rather expensive, in the hundreds of dollars range. I recommend eBay. Put in the search coffin plate, coffin plaque, casket plate, casket plaque, and then for good measure, maybe funeral is a very good search to go in under. And also search under everything else, because a lot of times the oddest things get put there. So don't necessarily search in mourning, let's say, or Victorian mourning. Search in these other areas. The second thing I wanted to talk about is funerary ephemera. And what that is anything that was created to be of a fleeting and ephemeral nature. So cards, any kind of paper item, ads, receipts, photographs, post-mortem photographs, and things like that. You can find some really lovely things, like for example this card. Now obviously it's mourning. It says in memory of, or in loving memory, so that's rather obvious. Also the cross symbol and the ivy leaves are a dead giveaway that this is a mourning card. And it has the original cord, which is really nice to have. And then on the inside there's a really sweet poem over here, and then it you know, talks about the person who passed away. Usually it has the date of death, sometimes the date of birth and of death, and pretty much always the age. And these are really nice to have. One other indication that something is mourning is this black border. No matter how thin or thick it is, a black border on paper almost always signifies that something is mourning. So if you look for, if you're interested in finding letters, for example, or mourning stationery or something like that, look for the black border. This piece is rather rare, and I'm going to try to make it so that you can see it. There you go. This is a French Canadian, and it's a pierced and embossed card. These are rather rare. It still has the original cord. It says in memoriam, and then on the inside it's quite beautiful. With the beautiful handwriting from the period, and this is offering sympathy and also asking for masses to be said to honor the departed. As you see over here, front de masse, etc. And these are rather rare. So you'll see that it's actually pierced through, and then there's this glitter that's been applied to the cross, and this little bit of coloration to the flowers here. Now, it probably would be a good idea to be handling these with cotton gloves on, but they're actually in pretty good shape and rather sturdy, so I feel confident holding them without doing that. For those cards, you would expect to pay maybe $10, $12 possibly, on eBay. I'm not sure about the places that I mentioned before. Love to Death didn't have any ephemera like that when I visited, so I'm not certain about that. Then you have cards like this, and these are lovely to collect. Often they'll have angels on them. They usually have some poetry and the person's name and the dates and everything on it. And these generally go for $10 to $12, sometimes $20 if you're buying it at one of the higher price stores. Now these here are interesting. You might not recognize this immediately as mourning, but as you see that the person is depicted on a page. Here's another one. The symbolism of the page is that the page is turned on this individual's life. So these are mourning memorial cards. Most people don't know that they're mourning, so they're usually priced accordingly. And another giveaway is the these flowers here, which I believe are, I think those are meant to be forget-me-nots maybe, and then that's a rose branch, I think. So that'll be another indication. And sometimes on the back of these you have this kind of thing. So it'll be a picture on one side and the other side will look like, look like that. Now, one thing about these is if you find ones that are white, they're for either unmarried persons or children, virgins basically, and that's what the white cards signify. Now, as far as these cabinet cards and how much you'd expect to pay, generally speaking, you should be able to get them from between $6 and $10. I wouldn't really spend too much more than that, and sometimes you can find them in lots. Well, those are two types of mourning memorabilia that are fairly easy to find at the stores that specialize in that kind of thing and on eBay. I hope that this has been informative and that you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me in the Gothic Bohemian Salon. Good night.